is up, you guys? It is Kiesha T, and welcome back for another cup of tea. Today's video, we're going to be talking about how self-love is a skill. We're going to have a little discussion about how it's a skill and how you can level up that skill. You know what I'm saying? So, without further ado, let's just get into the video. Self-love is a skill. What I mean by that is that the same way that basketball players practice their free throws, or how tennis players, they practice how to hold the racket or how to hit the ball, you have to practice loving yourself. You have to put in that same amount of effort. You have to put in that same amount of work. Hell, you might have to put in more, because we live in a society that's centered around this. Like, they shame you for being outwardly loving of yourself. It's full of unrealistic standards and unrealistic expectations for how you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to look. It's a standard for everything. And so being yourself is it's weird now. It's weird nowadays to be yourself. And so that's what I mean by it's a skill you have to practice, because it's not easy. It's not easy to be yourself. And I know this sounds weird to say, but let's be real. How many people you know who are actually truly, authentically themselves? Right. So now it's like, forget that. I say forget that. Love yourself loudly and unapologetically, regardless of who it bothers. Bother everybody. Bother everybody. And so, before I got to the point where I could say that, like today, where I could say to love yourself loudly and boldly, I had low self-esteem. I hated taking pictures. I didn't like to look at myself in a mirror. Like, it was bad. Like, I was seeking validation from outside people, seeking validation from sources that was outside of myself. And I had this need or this want to be included, or this need or this want to fit in, or to be wanted, or to be loved. But there was a part of me, whether like unconsciously, that didn't feel like I deserved that. And so I sought the validation outside of myself instead of looking within and turning that need into something to give myself. And so the question became, how do I turn that around? How do I give to myself what I felt like I was seeking outside of me? How did I get to a point where I can honestly say that I love myself today, to a point where I don't seek the validation or the opinions of others for me to, do what it is that I want to do what it is that I love to do? Or I'm not at a point anymore where I allow other people's opinions to sway me. I'm solid within myself nowadays. And so how did I get to that point? I lied to myself, straight up lied to myself. I became very delusional. I would stand in the mirror, and y'all, if you watched any of my videos so far, y'all know I swear down by affirmations. When I first started saying affirmations, they was lies. They sounded like lies coming out of my mouth, but I kept saying them. And so I cried. I wrote down lies that I didn't believe. So not just saying them, but writing them down at the same time. I saw a video on TikTok once. It was about mirror work. And so the activity was to go stand in the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and say, I love you. And you just stand there and say that, and look yourself in the eyes and say, I love you. You do that. I did that for a full week. And it was it was very transformative. Like, I had never done that before. Like, just stood in the mirror and looked myself in the eyes. And when they really say your eyes are the window to the soul, like, they not playing. Like, they're not playing. And yeah, so you're literally, when you looking yourself in the eyeballs and talking to yourself, you literally talking to your spirit at this point. That's like you getting real personal with yourself. You're not just looking at the physical anymore, you looking inside. And another thing that I did was I kept a journal of, I started writing down lists of things that I genuinely love to do, things that genuinely made me happy. So like, I would write down that I love to sing, and that I love to dance, and that I love to write, and that I love to read. I also wrote down the things that I didn't like. Not only was that a part of my process in order to expand my love for myself, but it was also me getting to know myself more, because practice of writing it down was, okay, it's been like asking yourself, do I like this? Do I like to do this? No. Okay, write that down. Do I like to do this? Yeah, I mean, I kind of like doing that. So that helped. And then I started doing more of the things that I genuinely like to do. It is surrounding yourself and like embodying the things that you love to do, and it brings, if these things make you happy and you do more of it, that means just automatically you're just going to be more happy. It just makes sense. The math is mathing. It makes sense. And so I did more of those things, and I kept repeating that over and over. I kept repeating it. Did I do something that I love to do every day? Probably not, but I did something. I was consistent with it. It's the consistency. Everybody always rapping on about consistency, and you hear it all the time, but the fact is, consistency. You keep repeating it, you keep doing it, you keep telling yourself the lies until they aren't lies anymore. I told myself that I loved myself when I didn't, and now I do. Proof. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is that I'm living proof. If you need some proof, here I am. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So I know I used to think that consistency was hard. That's sort of one of the opinions that are out there, that consistency is hard. But consistency isn't hard when the alternative is hating yourself. Consistency isn't hard when the alternative is staying in a place where you're miserable. So it's either consistency or you stay right where you at right now, and you obviously not feeling good where you at right now, so might as well try something different. So this was a short video. That's all I really had to say. I had to come up here, put y'all onto some game. Now, of course, there's some other things that can be done, but this is just, this is my channel, this is my experience, that's what I did, that's what worked. You can go watch somebody else's video if you want somebody else's experience, you know? But that's all I have for you guys today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You have more life.